With no starters in sight, the backups get it done. Good morning, afternoon, and evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to our first regular season Bomber game. I'm currently recording this just after 3 in the morning because I have had a lot of stuff I have had to do tonight. I have had tech problems, all sorts of stuff. However, it is okay because I don't have anything crazy going on tomorrow, so we're going to be all right. Wow, so very pleased with the Bombers. Bombers win by a score of 34-20 over the BC Lions in a game where a lot of people took BC, so I think we should get right into it. So firstly, Zach Collaros, he is suspended for this game as, again, due to the issues that I've mentioned numerous times regarding the drug test that he failed to report in for. Again, he only had 2 hours notice for that. He's not able to play tonight. So Chris Streveler, it is his job to get the job done for the Bombers. Now, this would not be just the game of backups in terms of Streveler. So Vival, it's funny, I don't even know if he's going to be a backup anymore. It looked like he would be our backup returner in the sense of Peyton Logan was kind of the expected returner for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers this year, but he is currently injured with, I believe, a thigh injury. It's a leg injury, I know that. That will keep him out at least this week. So next week, week 3 of the CFL season, we're not sure if he'll come in. He hasn't been practicing or anything, so potentially not. He'll be our backup running back, and it was expected to be our returner. But if Vival keeps playing the way he is, then he might have that spot. We'll have to see. But Peyton Logan will become healthy at some point. So Vival at least would kind of, in some ways, was kind of expected to be a backup. Streveler very much is the backup for Collaros. And then Matthew Peterson gets a lot of work today because of events that we will get into. But we'll start it off. First quarter. Lions kick off. Bombers start moving the ball. They're moving it well. And Brady Oliveira moves it down. Gets a big, I think it's like a 43-yard run. I could be wrong. I believe this is Brady Oliveira's longest single run of his career up until this point. At least that was a stat that I saw somewhere. Could be wrong, but wouldn't be surprised. 43-yard run, you're talking almost half the field. So great job by Brady Oliveira. And then Nick Dembski would get the touchdown. I actually was not able to record this one as I was in line for shawarma. I wasn't getting shawarma for myself. It was a friend of mine that I was at the game with. Got himself a shawarma. Nice shawarma. Absolutely delicious. Good stuff at the game. So Zach was up in the press box for this game. So I had one of my buddies in one of our seats. So, really, really proud of my awesome brother for all of the stuff he's doing. And he's able to watch this game from the press box. He nerded out so hard. He was so excited about that. It was awesome. But the conversion is good. 7-0 Winnipeg. The Bombers would then play a Buck Pierce tribute. And actually, one thing I'm going to mention that I forgot to mention that's really important. But yeah, Bombers would play a Buck Pierce tribute. Very respectful, very pleased about that. I forgot to write this down, but before the game, the Bombers held a moment of silence for Chase Stiegel. As a lot of you may or may not be aware, Chase Stiegel, the son, I think he was just 21 years old, of Milt Stiegel, tragically passed away, I believe from a seizure, just recently, within the past two weeks, I believe. Just a very absolutely devastating loss for Milt Stiegel, and thoughts and prayers for the family, because that is just awful. But I was very glad to see the Bombers show that respect. I was very glad that that Saskatchewan showed that respect in their game against Ottawa. I'm sure other teams did that as well. That was the only ones I'd watched, so I'd seen that. But yeah, so the Bombers then into a little bit into the first quarter play the Buck Pierce tribute video. Obviously, Buck Pierce, head coach of the BC Lions now, Jason Hogan leading the offense for the Bombers. If you actually want to know my whole thoughts on the offense and the defensive makeups of this year's Bomber team, I highly recommend you check out. I did a Bomber season preview video, And I have the depth charts on the screen, so it'll be easy to follow in that sense. If you guys could leave a like on that, as well as leaving a like on this video down below. Seriously, likes help out a ton. Gets that video out there, allows me to make the content I make for you guys. So thank you guys so much again for all the support. But the D-line is really getting pressure on BC, on Rourke, which is really good because Edmonton last week, so Edmonton Elks defensive line looks to be, at least on paper, one of the best defensive lines in the league. If we're looking at guys like Jared Brinkman, Jake Serezna, signed big money contracts, believe like $200K plus over in Edmonton, and as they were just so effective over in Toronto. Edmonton not able to recreate that success, at least in their first week against the Lions. They made that BC Lions offensive line look good. That offensive line was scrambling for BC today, as the Bomber defensive line was really putting the pressure. I was very pleased with Jamal Woods. Was very pleased with Willie Jefferson. Jake Thomas was excellent. Thomas the Tank Engine was really rolling. People around me got a chuckle out of me saying that. But the D-line looked really, really good today. I was very pleased. There's so many people that I was very pleased with today. But the defensive line, definitely improvement over last year. I can already see it. Then there would be an illegal trackback penalty against Wheatfall. Kind of an unusual call that you'll see, but Andre Pruitt is officiating this game, so you're going to get some funky calls, so that was one of them. It would go back and forth a bit, and then the Lions on one of their drive would go offside, and it would be 2nd and 15 for the Lions. They would then go for it, and then Marquise Bridges with the interception, again in that spot where Terrell Ford was. So there's big shoes to fill for Marquise Bridges, and I will say, he filled those shoes tonight. Seriously, Marquise Bridges. I don't think anyone is expecting a Terrell Ford type of performance out of him, as Terrell Ford was unusually good. But we saw a bit of that in this first game. Now, obviously, I don't expect 2 interceptions every game. Obviously not. But definitely a good start for Marquise Bridges. So Marquise Bridges, great interception by him. Bombers able to push it down the field, and Sergio Castillo hits a 49-yard field goal, making it 10-0 Winnipeg. There'd be a big run for Nathan Rourke as the Lions push it down the field. And then I wrote down here, Andre Pruitt with the weakest call ever. This is one where Rourke, I want to say that, I can't remember if this Rourke was running, where I think he makes a pass and he goes out of bounds, and our guy basically hits him right as he is going out of bounds. And I didn't think he hit him very hard. I thought it was very weak, but such is life. These are kind of the calls I expected of Andre Pruitt. He's kind of known for calling some pretty weak stuff, but it is what it is. Lions grab a field goal, making this 10-3 for the Bombers. And then Vival with an excellent return for Winnipeg. And really just gets us in a really good position for this offense to be able to thrive, which is really, really important. When you have a quarterback like Zach Collaros, he's really able to push the field and whatnot and do well. And Strevler is not able to do that to the extent Collaros can. Not that Strevler can't, but he's not Zach Collaros. And so putting him in a better position to succeed is really important. And Vival did that as a returner today. He was great. Brady Oliveira goes down the tunnel. Now, with Brady Oliveira going down the tunnel, it was not obvious exactly what happened. It's not like there was one play where he was clearly hit and he went down a wrong way, whatever it is. Apparently, it's we would then later find out that this would be an upper body injury. He wouldn't be returning to the game. And so the good news, at least, is that when it comes to upper body injuries, those heal usually quicker than lower body injuries. And then usually when it comes to upper body injuries, even if you're not 100% healthy, you can still do some practice. You can still run around. You can put weight on your legs. You can move, you know what I mean? Even if you can't necessarily take contact. Whereas with a leg injury, even if your arms are fine and whatnot, you can't really run around, still can't take contact. So at least hopefully he should be able to practice. I hope whatever it is not long-term. As good as Matthew Peterson did tonight, Brady Oliveira, we're talking about MOP. Like that's not a guy you want on the sidelines for very long. So hopefully, hoping for the best for Brady Oliveira, but we'll have to see in the injury report. Chris Strevler would throw his one interception of the night. I didn't have a problem with this pick, to be honest, as I didn't think this was like a wild overthrow or anything like that. It was just kind of two guys wrestling for it, and our guy lost, and they got it. So overall, it was an interception, but I don't think it was a bad pick. I've seen Strevler throw some bad picks. I don't think that was one of them. Go into the second quarter. Lions shortly into the quarter would take a roughing the passer penalty. Bombers would get a first down. It would go back and forth a little bit as we couldn't quite get it going. Jamison Sheehan, though, with some decent punts. There were some that were a little iffy, but overall, again, I've still been pleased with him, although I do think his best game so far has been that second game of the preseason. Or even the first, I don't know. I think his preseason games were a little bit better than he was tonight, but that's okay. You know, it is what it is. Peterson goes in, really drives the field. Bombers get it going, and then Nick Peterson with the touchdown. Nick Peterson with the touchdown. Castillo hits the conversion, 17-0 Winnipeg. And then the Bombers would get it going, and we would kick off, and there'd be an excellent tackle by Nick Hallett here on the kickoff return, really just not allowing the Lions to drive that upfield and forcing them to rely on that Buck Pierce offense, which is a good offense. It worked for the Bombers in many ways, but at the same time, there's no one that knows that offense better than we do. And so the Bombers did a very good job shutting it down. A great example of that is Kyrie Wilson getting behind the line and a great sack on Nathan Rourke. Sack by Kyrie Wilson, and then the Bombers able to stop that and get a drive of their own, get a bit, can't quite get into field goal range. So Jamison Sheehan goes for the punt, and it goes down, and it's bouncing a few times, and it hits the front of the cone on the end zone, which means, because if you hit that cone, that would be like, if you're a receiver or whatever, that would be a touchdown. So that technically counts as end zone. And grabs a single in probably one of the strangest ways ever. I don't know if I've ever seen that, but that CFL Rouge gives the Bombers a point and makes this a 18-3 game for Winnipeg. Also, I said 17-0 earlier. I had forgot to mention that. Yeah, no, I was wrong. They were 17-3. My apologies. Earlier. It's now 18-3. The Lions would try to get it going. There'd be a huge pass. Nathan Rourke to Aiden Eberhardt, which Eberhardt, actually very, very nice guy. You should check out on Canadian Football Central. We had a wonderful interview with him. It was good, at least 40 minutes, I think. Good guy. Likes some weird food too, but fair enough. I like weird food too. BC would really drive the field here. Nathan Rourke, though, couldn't find anything on that last one and would just run it in, and he would get himself a rushing touchdown. So touchdown Lions. Conversion is good, which makes it 18-10 Winnipeg going into halftime. Now, the halftime show for the Bombers was the Trues, and I was like, I'd never heard of this band. You know, we'll see how it goes. And Rick's like, oh, you don't know them? They're Canadian, man. I'm like, well, I've never heard of them before. And then they started playing, and I'm like, wait a minute. Yes, I do know these people. I just didn't know that was... there's a lot of songs that you hear over the years growing up, this or that, where you know the songs, but you don't know the band or the artist. You just, if you heard it, you pick up on it, you could sing along, that sort of stuff. This was one of those bands. And so I was very happy. And so, like, I mean, it's not Snoop, but like BC got, but certainly decent pull, you know? It's like, I don't know. I'd love to see the Bombers keep doing this each year. If the Bombers next year, because if realistically, if we're looking for a band in similar status, if they can get like Big Wreck or like Finger 11, that would be great. Seriously, 2026 Bombers, make it happen. But yeah, they had a great halftime performance. Very pleased, very happy with it. I was vibing. Honestly, I have a clip of it. I can't put it in the video though, because unfortunately YouTube likes to do this thing called copyright, and that kind of sucks. But it was a great time. Really, really enjoyed it. But let's get into the third quarter. Third quarter here. BC starts with the ball. They used their last timeout early on to avoid a time count violation. So I was pleased with that. It was one of those things where I liked that BC kind of those cards have been played. We know that if the Bombers if they're in a good spot and the Lions need to be able to stop the clock, they're not going to be able to do it. So I was very pleased with that. Willie Jefferson would get a nice knockdown on the defensive play and would play the guitar with a little kind of Biggie hip shake going on. A little bit of zest out of Jefferson, strangely enough, but good play by Willie Jefferson nonetheless. And then we get back on offense. And Chris Streveler gets that passing game going. He's connecting with Schoen. He's connecting with Wheatfall. He's really connecting with Wheatfall. As much as he connected with Schoen and Dembski tonight, Wheatfall was the guy he went to more than anything, which I said it was exactly what was going to happen in the preview. As I said, that the receiver that Caleros is most comfortable with is Dalton Schoen and Nick Dembski. Those are the guys, that's kind of his bread and butter. That's the guys he goes to. And we're excluding Kenny Lawler here because he's gone. But I mean, of the guys on the roster, with Streveler, he connects well with Wheatfall. And one of the things Zach was mentioning, my brother, who was up in the press box, and he's absolutely right here, is that Wheatfall was completely blowing guys out of their coverage in the sense of Wheatfall was just so goddamn open. But he made himself open. It's not that BC's defense was just lapsing. He was making exceptional plays to put himself in a position where Streveler can make that throw, and it wasn't that hard. He didn't have to try to get around guys, where a guy like Caleros could do that. With Streveler, not as much. But Wheatfall gave Streveler the cards he needed to be able to play the way he needed. And he'd get it going. And then Wheatfall with his second touchdown of the night. Whoa. Good blocks. There you go. Yeah!
That blocking was fantastic. There we go. Woo! Touchdown, Bombers. There we go. Yeah.
Touchdown for Wheatfall. The conversion is good. 25-10 for the Bombers. There would be a crazy pass by Rourke almost instantly, and the Lions would immediately strike back with a touchdown. I wondered if it maybe was offensive pass interference. I wondered, as there was some contact. Now, to be clear, the call on the field was that this was a good touchdown. There was no offensive PI. I wondered if O'Shea might challenge this. O'Shea ended up not challenging it. And to be honest, I understand why, in the sense of it, you kind of challenging a play is pretty difficult in the sense of that you have to have clear, definitive evidence to overturn the call on the field. As if you have a good case for a call, but it's kind of could go either way, they will always side with whatever the call on the field was. And the call on the field here was that this was a touchdown. And so I think he saw that realistically it was kind of okay here. And just keep the timeout, keep that in your playbook, because Buck Pierce has already used his. So keep the cards that you have on that, and just strike back. Yeah, and that would be the best way to respond, rather than trying to challenge this fail and losing a timeout. Just strike back. And so the conversion would be good, which makes this 25-17 for the Bombers, as the Lions would immediately strike back. There'd be another fantastic return by Vival, as Vival would get us all the way past the 55-yard line into BC territory with just his returns. Again, Vival was excellent tonight. Seriously, it was exactly what we needed to be and more. I want to see more of him. There would then be a 50-yard field goal hit by none other than Sergio Castillo, making this a 28-17 game for the Bombers. Again, very pleased with Castillo. I know there was some stuff later in the game. We'll get to that, but overall, I'm not worried about Sergio Castillo. BC would go for the long ball again, and they get the connection. Not a touchdown this time, at least yet. The Bombers would then be able to kind of apply the brakes on that play after giving that up. Sean White hits a field goal, making it 28-20 Winnipeg. There'd be a good defensive play there. The Bombers would try getting going. They wouldn't, punt it down. BC comes back, and then there'd be a really good defensive play by Terrell Bonds. Terrell Bonds had a very good night tonight. It's funny. Besides the kind of the momentary lapses in terms of that really, really long pass for Eberhardt, that long pass that they had for Justin McKinnis. I can't remember if it was Justin McKinnis for the touchdown or if it was Stanley Berryhill. It's one of the two. Besides that touchdown pass, the pass for Eberhardt, and like one other play, like secondary was great. Like seriously, it's one of those things where it's like you take away those couple plays and you take the points off of that. We're looking at Bombers winning this game by a more than two score game. They won by 2 scores today. It was decent, decently dominant win. But it could have been more, even if they just stopped just a little bit more. And they were overall relatively good. Again, BC's offense looked fantastic last week against Edmonton, and Winnipeg was able to put up a lot more of a fight. Very big credit to Jordan Younger and his systems. There would then be a good run by Matthew Peterson. Man, Jason Hogan. I'm not going to lie. I'm loving this Jason Hogan run game. Like, that was something that's going to be very important in this game with Streveler, with him not having the arm that Collaros had. He's getting the running game going. And I'm very pleased as he was able to get the running game going no matter which running back was in, Peterson or Oliveira. And there's something that needs to be said that is not being said. Now, I talked to Zach, and apparently it was being said in the press box, so I was happy about this. The offensive line showed the fuck up tonight. Seriously. Eric Lofton injured at right tackle. Kevin Randolph has to go in. Vanterpool now playing left guard ever since the absence of Liam Dobson. The offensive line showed up. In pass protection, they gave Streveler the time he needed to play the way he needed to play. If he needed an escape, he got an escape, and he got he got running forward. Even if he didn't get very far because of Micah Awe and those linebacker core, that was very, very good for BC and Williams and whatnot, who had that insane hit last week on Arkell Smith of the Edmonton Elks. The offensive line gave the opportunity to Streveler that he needed. If the offensive line plays the way they did today, all season, I'm feeling great as that was excellent. I mean, look at those touchdown passes. Those plays don't happen without the blocks that they put up. Seriously, again, as someone who used to play O-line, the offensive line is the first to blame and the last to fame. That's how that is life as an O-lineman. It's you know what it is? It's like the offensive line's like air conditioning. You only notice it when it's bad. In the sense of no one ever walks into a room and thinks, wow, it's so comfortable in here. The air conditioning. No, you only notice it when it sucks. And so that is, and so I feel it needs to be said that the offensive line tonight was perfect. As if we're given stars of the game, Vival is tempting, Wheatfall is tempting, and others and whatnot, but that offensive line deserves to be in there. They earned it tonight. But yeah, good run by Matthew Peterson. Very much possible by the impressive run blocking by the offensive line. They were getting up there. When the guard pulled, he smashed right into that defensive end. Like, seriously, it was exactly what you need. So that would bring us to the fourth quarter here. And I said, the man knows one name, and that's Wheatfall. It's because he just kept going to him. And he just was getting it done. Although it's funny, it felt like he passed him just every second play. He only passed to him 5 times tonight, but he got 127 receiving yards with those 5 passes. He got success on each of those. But the other guy who had a little bit of success tonight was Nick Dembski with his second touchdown of the night. Dembski with the touchdown. Convert is missed this time. Sergio Castillo misses his first convert in, I think, at least a year. It's been a while since Castillo missed a convert, and I heard kind of all this nervous energy. Like, oh, he missed a convert. Like, that's not something he does. I watched Mark Leggio miss like 7 of them. I'm feeling fine. I'm okay with that. I remember when we had Ali Mortada and a convert he was just allergic to, and so we'll be okay. And we got the rouge earlier in the game. Thank you, Jameson Sheehan. So we were okay there. And I said, to be fair, Castillo almost never misses that. Let's cut him some slack. So it is what it is. Bombers go for the kickoff, and the Lions fumble it. We recover the ball on kickoff. Bombers got it. So we would then try to get going. Can't really get much. Castillo would go for a 46-yard field goal. And this one would be missed, making it still 34-20 Winnipeg. Very unusual for him, which is funny because I'm talking about a 46-yard field goal being an unusual miss. Sean White, he wouldn't even attempt a 46-yard field goal because Sean White, if it's not under 40 yards, they're punting. Like, again, he has been very good. He's been very consistent for the Lions, but the Lions have absolutely protected that record. They totally did. Brett Lothar, good kicker in the CFL. Seen him miss 46-yarders all the time. So, again, as much as he missed that convert and he missed that field goal near the end, I have no worry. My faith in Castillo is unshaken. I remember even last year in the first game of the season when the balls were microchipped, which is a terrible idea by the CFL, which is why they got rid of it after that game. Not even that weekend. They gutted that shit immediately. But he got right back to it, and like nothing had ever happened in the very next game. So I'm not worried about Sergio Castillo. But then there'd be a big pass for McInnes and by the Lions. They try to get it going here, and shortly after, Nathan Rourke goes out. Now I heard that he took a hit on a play, obviously, but I didn't see exactly what he got tweaked on. So Jeremiah Mazzoli goes in. I thought they put in Chase Bryce at first, but Jeremiah Mazzoli goes in, the man of exactly 0 knees, which I was glad they didn't get injured in this game. I feel like every Jeremiah Mazzoli game I watch, he gets injured in. So I was glad to see that he stayed healthy because we don't wish for injuries here. There'd be an illegal contact on the receiver penalty for Winnipeg. And then the Lions would try getting it going again. And Parker this time, or actually, no, not Parker. I wrote down Parker. It was Bridges again because I got confused between their numbers 7 and 9. Bridges again with his second interception of the night. And he allows the Bombers to get back on offense. Peterson with another great run for Winnipeg. Again, Bombers just trying to run this clock out at this point. And then we get down to third down. It's 3rd and 5. We go for it. No, because why not? To be honest, should have just kicked the field goal. I understand that Castillo had missed one earlier, or missed that one earlier in the night, but like, what, we lost faith because he missed a convert and a field goal and whatnot? I don't think so. So I'm not gonna lie, I have no idea why the Bombers went for this. It's not even like they're running the clock or anything. It was strange. I'm not going to lie. But then again, I guess try to get reps, maybe. But they don't get it. And so BC gets a turnover on downs. They get the ball. They're going for it. BC tries to get it going, but they just don't have the time. And that is game. Final score. Bombers 34, Lions 20. Bombers go to 1-0 this year. Lions at 1-1 with a win over Edmonton and a loss to the Bombers, which means that the crazy stat going into this game remains where Nathan Rourke has yet to defeat the Winnipeg Blue Bombers ever in any game. Yeah. If you didn't know this, Nathan Rourke has never beat Winnipeg ever in any game, whether it was Stravler at quarterback, whether it was Caleros at quarterback, whether guys were injured, whether guys were healthy, he has not been able to do it. Whether Buck Pierce was their head coach and writing most of that offense. So interesting. And fun fact, CFL Commish on Instagram, you may not know, follow. Nice guy, Saskatchewan fan. Posted a list of CFL quarterbacks with more wins against Winnipeg than Nathan Rourke. Jake Dolagala, Shea Patterson, Nick Arbuckle, Cameron Dukes, Dustin Crum, and Taylor Powell. All with more wins against Winnipeg than Nathan Rourke. Like, seriously, Nathan Rourke he's kind of like, you know what he is? He's like, he's kind of like the Winnipeg Jets 1.0 in the sense of you're talking about an incredible team, but the only reason they couldn't make it to the next step was because the only reason the Jets couldn't make it to the next step was because of that Oilers team. The same way that Nathan Rourke and his BC Lions, great team, only reason they couldn't get to that Grey Cup final was because of Winnipeg consistently. So all in all, very, very pleased with the Bombers in tonight's game. The backups were incredible. They needed to be, and they showed up. They did exactly what they needed to do. There were a lot of people that didn't take Winnipeg this game. I of course took my Bombers. I have full faith in them. Absolutely no worries whatsoever. So was very, very pleased with the effort, with the execution, offensively, defensively, on special teams. Very, very good. A couple undisciplined penalties here or there, but very little. Didn't take any dumb procedure penalties. Just I think Dembski took offside, and then Wheatfall got that backtracking penalty. Besides that, we'd be fine. So all in all, very, very pleased. We play at home and home with BC. So next week we're going to be playing against the Lions over in BC Place. We're going to be doing it'll be an away game, which we might actually live stream this game. This game is on Saturday, June 21st. So we may potentially do that over on Canadian Football Central. So make sure you guys check that out if you haven't already. A lot of good stuff coming out there. Seriously, just league-wide CFL coverage. And you also get to hear from Rick. He'll have some good thoughts on this game. So make sure you guys like, share, and subscribe if you haven't already. Again, just click that like button. And if you haven't subscribed, hit that little notification bell. Helps us out a ton. And hope you guys, I want to hear your guys' thoughts of the game in the comment section down below. What did you think about this game? What were you happy about? What were you looking to see for next game? Or if you have nothing to say about the game, just say hi. We appreciate it. So, peace, love, and positivity, all you wonderful people at home. We will see you guys next time.